Hi guys, and welcome back to this journey towards excellent exam results. In these shorter revision videos, we are going to be breaking down different concepts within the GCSE Geography specification. The aim of this is to help us understand the concepts better and to give us the information and confidence we need to answer exam questions. In today's video, we are going to be discussing the challenges that Mumbai grapples with. This information is relevant for all GCSE geography specifications. Okay, let's get started. So any city that is growing rapidly will experience challenges, and Mumbai is not an exception. So I have summarized the challenges that they face here, and we are going to discuss them one at a time. We have 4 challenges here, and these obviously can be used in an examination. And the reason why I think they're important is because a lot of the longer questions, so the 8-mark questions, will be on things like this here. So challenges that Mumbai is facing. The first one is insufficient tax revenue for the government. Now, we did mention earlier that Mumbai has a very large informal uh, um, sector of industry and of the economy. And as a result of that, these people who work in that informal sector don't pay any tax. Now, that means that the government then does not have money to employ people who can do the tax collection, who can follow up these informal industries to collect tax. They cannot employ regulators or inspectors that can inspect the businesses to see whether these businesses are operating, in accordance to the law and in accordance to, the standards that have been set by the government. And therefore, becomes quite a vicious cycle, because if the government does not have money to chase the money that they need to get from this informal sector, then it's a vicious cycle, and it's obviously not working. Then the other problem also is that the government, in an attempt to catalyze and bring trade into Mumbai, have created tax-free zones, and these tax-free zones are supposed to be an incentive to attract companies to come and set up in Mumbai. Now, however, because these companies are not paying tax, they're in a tax-free zone, then the government is again not getting any money to build the infrastructure that these companies need to operate. So infrastructure here meaning roads, internet infrastructure, railway lines, communication systems, and so on. So if that is the case, then if they are not able to provide the infrastructure, then the companies that have been incentivized to come and locate here will soon think that this is actually not a very good location because it doesn't have the infrastructure that they need, and therefore those companies are likely to start leaving again. So then again, it becomes a vicious cycle. Okay, and to the second challenge that Mumbai is facing is the challenge of a shortage of housing. Now, as the population increases rapidly due to that rural to urban migration that we talked about, housing then becomes a problem because the houses cannot be built fast enough for the people that are migrating into the cities through the process of rural to urban migration. And this obviously has caused problems because the country doesn't necessarily, or the government doesn't necessarily have the money to build the houses, since they are not collecting enough tax revenue, like we talked about in the previous point. And this has led to the growth of slums. So slums are poor quality housing, and the largest slum actually in Mumbai is the Dharavi slum, where over 1 million people live on 2.1 square kilometers in a 2.1 square kilometer space, which is really, really tiny for that number of people. And the houses are made from poor quality materials. They are cramped. They have poor sanitation and also have poor waste disposal. Okay, so that's the second challenge. The third challenge is water supply and waste disposal. So water supply is a problem in places like Dharavi, where people use communal taps. And sometimes if the electricity shuts off, then it means that the pumps for those communal taps stop working, and therefore people do not have water. So water is a big problem, and we know that water is very important for sanitation. And if there is no water, then the threat of disease is quite high. Then under this point here, we also have a lack of sewage systems, especially in those slum areas where, there's no proper disposal of waste, and therefore the sewage tends to get into the rivers and to pollute those rivers. And some people also rely on those rivers for water, so it becomes a problem because if the water is contaminated, then it's likely to pass on diseases like typhoid and cholera to the people. And one river that is polluted by this kind of scenario is the Mithi River in Mumbai. Then rubbish disposal is also a problem. So waste disposal is a problem because with the high population, it means that the amount of rubbish that is then generated is very high. Although having said that, the people in Mumbai try to ensure that nothing goes to waste. So there's a lot of recycling, and there are a lot of cottage industries that have grown as a result of these recycling businesses in Mumbai. Okay, so the last challenge we'll talk about here is transportation, or transport rather, and air pollution. So as far as transport goes, there's a lot of there's serious traffic congestion in Mumbai with over 22 million vehicles on the road. Now that's quite a significant number of vehicles on the roads, and especially with roads that are not necessarily built to very high standards, and they are not necessarily very big roads. And the congestion obviously leads to air pollution, and that lowers the air quality, and therefore presents a challenge in terms of respiratory diseases and disorders within the population, especially the vulnerable, so the elderly and the young population. Then moving on to buses and trains, those ones tend to be quite overcrowded during the peak hours as people, commute from the outskirts into the CBD to work. And in a lot of trains and buses, you can see people hanging from the doors, and that has led to several accidents throughout the year. And obviously that is quite a serious challenge because people are losing their lives to poor transportation in Mumbai. That brings us to the end of this video on Mumbai's challenges. I hope that you have found the information insightful and useful. I have also put together videos on all the other subtopics within the challenges of an urbanizing world topic. 2 of them will pop up as suggested videos at the end of this one, and the rest will be available in the challenges of an urbanizing world playlist. Thanks once again for joining in this journey towards excellent exam results. All the best, and see you again soon. Bye-bye.